What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news. And in this one we have some additional changes for the game this week, plus Bungie outlined some changes that they plan to make in Season of the Deep. And so we're going to break it down in the video. A change that we weren't expecting to see this week is that the Vex Strike Force can now drop new exotic armor. So we'll talk about that, and additionally, Bungie have added some patch notes for the update this week, with additional changes to mods in the game, but also to heavy ammo. Plus there are some extra exotic updates. Bungie talk about more issues in the game and accessibility changes. So we're going to round all of it up inside of the video today. As always, I hope you guys enjoy this one, and if you do, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. But otherwise, let's get into it. And so initially, something which has gone under the radar, Bungie didn't add this to the patch notes, but as they outlined a couple of weeks ago, the Vex Strike Force event in the Incursion Zone will now drop a new piece of exotic armor if you have any left to collect, and these will be on a knockout list, with no slot limits like Lost Sectors have. They did preview this change a couple of weeks back, but it wasn't added to the patch notes on Tuesday. Bungie have even gone ahead and updated the patch notes with some extra changes, but still didn't list this one. However, players are reporting getting new exotics from the Vex Incursion Zone, so while it is still a relatively rare event, the good thing is if you're still collecting exotic armor, or you don't run Lost Sectors, is that the Vex Zone will now drop those exotic armor pieces. So give us your thoughts about that down below, guys. And we'll get onto some changes coming in Season of the Deep shortly, but Bungie did confirm that they missed some patch notes in the update on Tuesday, so some additional ones here. And when Ashes to Assets and Hands-On are equipped, players will only receive super energy from one of the mods and not both, so they won't work while stacked together anymore. And on top of this, when Firepower and Heavy-Handed are equipped, players will only spawn one orb of power, and not two when killing an enemy with a grapple melee. So a similar change there, and they also say that Grenade Kickstart will no longer activate when grappling to a grapple point, thus not expending any grenade energy. And in addition, they've reduced the super gains from Ashes to Assets when getting a grapple melee kill after grappling to a grapple point, and that goes down by 50%, and previously they say this varied from 1% to 5% depending on the target tier, but with this change that'll now be 0.5 to 2.5%. So a few minor nerfs to ability things right there, but there are a few changes which are a bit more positive here, so players no longer need to have this Strand subclass equipped to gain Unraveling rounds for Strand weapons from the allied Unraveling perk. That's a good change. Plus they say that heavy weapons will now more consistently gain increased ammo capacity. In addition to that though, they add that they fixed an issue where the Fighting Lion was incorrectly benefiting from the Void Holster mod, and that the Harsh Language Shotgun now correctly activates Void Artifact perks. Plus they say they fixed a problem where certain Gambit weapons were not contributing to the Dark Age Arsenal triumph. The final few changes here though include a couple of exotics, but firstly, crafting progress now comes from the key chest and not the base chest, and they say that Warlock Exotic Swarmers will now correctly create threadlings when a tangle is thrown and a player has Shackle Grenade equipped, so that's a good one. And Hunter Armor Thunderhead Grips can now correctly have its appearance unlocked by Synthweave. Finally though, fall damage is now non-lethal to players, and previously only collision damage was non-lethal. So that's going to be a positive gameplay change, but overall a bit of a mixed bag of both minor nerfs, fixes, and a couple of improvements overall. So give us your thoughts about those, and these of course are in addition to the patch notes that we got at the reset on Tuesday. And yes, I agree, that is a lot of patch notes to miss out, but hey ho, there we go. A quick bug thing right here though, Bungie Help said they're currently investigating an issue that causes in-game audio to become distorted. This is affecting quite a few players actually, and they say as a workaround, players are recommended to disable 3D audio, such as native 3D on PS5, or Atmos and Windows Sonic on PC and Xbox. So give them a try if you have been affected by that. But up next, Bungie talk about accessibility changes, and a few things that we'll specifically see inside of Season of the Deep. Crazy to think we're only a few weeks out now from the new season, and they say in Season 21 they're adding an enemy targeted reticle color, and this is a setting designed to complement the current color reticle by allowing players to select the hue of their hipfire reticle, and this is purely when you're aiming at an enemy. And they point out the change will be particularly helpful for players with color blindness, and the new color setting also applies to the headshot dot and the hit indicator UI elements. So that's what the settings menu will look like right there. But next they talk about the fact that they've added a full auto setting, and they say that next season they'll be adding a full auto melee setting. So this upcoming change allows players to have full auto mode for melee weapons, including swords and glaives, but also powered melee, unpowered melee attacks, and melee attacks while in a roaming super. And this setting will repeat the melee attack whenever it's available, as long as the melee or fire button is held. So that's certainly an interesting one, and no doubt it will be beneficial for some players. And on top of that, they're adding a setting for players to swap which buttons are used for the confirm and cancel within the Destiny UI when using a controller. Plus, there will be a new subtitle color option, so they say players will be able to adjust what it looks like, what color it is, and what size it is. And next season, players will be able to further customize their HUD experience with the ability to tweak the below components. So we can see the settings menu right there once again, and that includes, of course, the text color, but also size, background style, and opacity. Plus, the text color setting has changed from a carousel to a drop-down menu. Plus, tinted rectangles have been added to replace text, so players can preview the color exactly as they will see it before making a selection, which matches the pattern used for reticle colors. And finally, a yellow option has been added, in addition to the default yellowish option. So a few additional accessibility changes right there coming in Season of the Deep. And obviously they're great for color blindness, but also as we've seen, some players simply like to be able to select the color of those things, so overall I think they're good options to have regardless. Bungie also added a section in their accessibility update talking about how they designed commendations, and they say that accessibility has been an important part of this system since its design. And with Destiny supporting 4 different color profiles, fine-tuning the suite of colors for our needs as a feature proved to be challenging but worth it. And ultimately, they say they explored ways to tap into a system that already existed, and then follow up to define new constants for our needs and apply additions to commendations. And they say in a similar way to how gear rarity color changes, the commendations also shift with each setting, and that means whenever or wherever you're viewing commendations, those colors will all abide by the color preset you choose to play with. And they share some examples for those who play with the color preset off. They say you'll notice a ton of differences between them, but for those that require a distinct color preset, the level of contrast surely does help distinguish one category from another. And there are a bunch of previews right there showing the different colors that they work with. So an interesting article, especially for any folks who benefit from those accessibility settings. So if you want to check it out in full, I will link it down below. So there we go guys, a few additional updates from Bungie this week, and I hope you found the video useful today. If you have, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Plus, be sure to get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content. Otherwise though, I very much appreciate you guys tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.